We are back now on the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast to talk about the Eagles and the Saints game. Another big matchup that we had this past week. A lot of good games on Sunday, and this one was definitely one that I try to keep up with as much as possible. One of the biggest games, like I mentioned, Philadelphia ended up getting a 15-12 win over the New Orleans Saints in this one, down in New Orleans, over a Saints offense that has just been killing over the past 2 weeks, and a bit surprising, I think, for some, just based on how everything went. And to me, just to give my thoughts out here before I explain them a little bit more later on, it felt like the Saints kind of gave it away to me in some instances, more so than the Eagles flat out just winning this game, right? And I know, right, that Saquon and Goedert had monster days, right? We're going to look at the stats, right? And I'll actually pull them up for you guys right now. Very, very big days by Goedert and Saquon Barkley, right? Saquon last week, after all that talk about him dropping the pass and whether or not it was a good decision and whatnot, and also Goedert stepping up with Devontae Smith getting hurt and A.J. Brown obviously not playing. Both of them had monster days. Jalen Hurts as well, tacking on 311 yards passing, no touchdowns, one interception, and one fumble as well. We're going to touch more on him in just a little bit. But Saquon, as you guys see, 17 carries, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Dallas Goedert, the man through the air, 10 receptions, 170 yards, a career day for him. And on the other side, the Saints, not as eye-catching, I guess, from a stats standpoint. You know, Derek Carr, not his best games, obviously. He finished 14 of 25 for 142 yards and 1 touchdown and 1 interception there towards the end to seal it. Then you have also Alvin Kamara, not as dominant of a rushing game, I should say. 26 carries for 87 rushing yards as well. And still, even through all of that, not their best game. They were going to come down back to earth eventually, right? I was predicting it would be against the Eagles, but still, they were still there, and they almost walked away with a close win, if not for a major play by Dallas Goedert on 3rd and 16, right? And that leads into breaking it down a little bit more in this game, right? Because you look at it, and you look at how everything transpired basically in this one, right? You look at the first half, right? Low-scoring first half, only 3 points, but not without some missed chances by both teams, right? From both the Eagles and the Saints. You look at the first instance where Jalen Hurts throws an interception in the red zone, which to me, it's going to look bad on Hurts, but I would more so look at it as a situation where I think Devontae Smith should have cut it in a little bit more, a little bit sharper. It felt a bit too, I guess for lack of better terms, too just straight, almost not enough change of direction on his route. So that's one thing. And then Jalen Hurts, even still, that's a risky throw to make. So I see both faults there by both guys. I wasn't really too upset by that. Of course, you walk away with no points, so that's bad. But later on, Hurts also, after that, fumbles and lost the ball just on the next drive. But the Saints get 0 points off of both of those turnovers by Jalen Hurts. So that's one missed opportunity there by the Eagles in the red zone throwing that interception, but also by the Saints not being able to capitalize on those gifts from the Eagles offense as well, or really from just Jalen Hurts, if you want to really get specific, right? But those were missed opportunities, right? Then you have another missed opportunity, a fake tush push in the first half was just a bad design. You know what that says to me? That says to me that the loss of Jason Kelce isn't as played down as they want it to be. If Jason Kelce's in that game, I don't think they fake it at all. Or if you do want to fake it, you have all 11 guys right there within like 4 yards of each other. If you're going to fake it, fake the handoff or fake like you're going to go forward and then just have someone running vertically past all those guys that are so aggressive trying to stop Jalen Hurts and this offensive line from pushing them back. That's really how I would have liked to have seen it, not Saquon getting a horizontal east and west handoff and obviously getting tackled in that instance. I didn't really like that. In that situation, that was another missed opportunity by the Eagles this time. And Philadelphia also not only missing out on that fourth down play, but also another fourth down opportunity that they missed to start the second half, which resulted again in 0 points from the New Orleans Saints. So that's a fake tush push, another one to start the second half, an interception by Jalen Hurts, and a fumble lost by Jalen Hurts. 4 times the Saints could have at least kicked field goals in 2 of those instances, or all 4, or just 3 of them, and they would have been in a lot better spot in this one. I thought the Saints defense did or overexceeded some of the things that they were expected to in this game, but the offense just didn't match it at the end of the day for the Saints. Then the worst part was I just mentioned 4 missed opportunities by the Saints, so I didn't even get to the worst one. I forgot I wrote this one down. The worst one was on the block punt by the Saints, right? They get a great special teams play. 2 out of the 3 things for the Saints worked yesterday, but unfortunately they ended up losing because that one failed to, execute when they needed to. There was a block punt by the Saints, great play by them. They are in great field position now, but they decide to go for it on a fourth down, and they don't get it, obviously. Philadelphia escapes again from another situation where if they decide to just kick the 3 points and everything else plays out like it did, you're talking about a 15-15 game, and maybe Derek Carr doesn't feel the need to just chuck up a throw down the middle of the field because there's 50 seconds left and it's second or third down and he needs to move the ball. Maybe he doesn't make that play. Maybe he plays it more conservative and he's fine with going into overtime. But that one I really didn't like. I didn't really like the tush push either, but this one was bad because this one felt like they almost panicked a little bit, like we have to score right now or we have to convert this to really assure ourselves that we're going to win this game. And of course you don't know with talented guys like Saquon or Dallas Goedert, but to me, I felt like they over-panicked in this situation where 3 points, let your defense continue to dominate in this instance. Don't lose the game with another missed opportunity like this, and rather just continue to play at this pace, because up until this point, they were playing very well on the defensive side of the ball, like I said, but again, they missed this opportunity, and right after that, I want to say actually, the Eagles score that massive touchdown by Saquon. They take the lead. Good job by the Saints to come back and score as well by Chris Olave, but then you have a 3rd and 16, and this is usually how sports go, right? You have all the chances in the world to win this game. You have great performances by special teams, your defense, and it's a 3rd and 16, right, where what can go wrong does go wrong. With all your missed chances, the Eagles convert on one, you could say lucky 3rd and 16, and they end up winning the game by 2 massive plays by the 2 guys you see on your screen, and that pretty much seals it. The Eagles steal all the momentum away from the Saints that pretty much had it in the palm of their hand, I'd like to say, but there was too many missed opportunities in this one, like I just rattled off, where the Saints, you talk about 5 or 6 missed opportunities that I said, if they walk away with 9 points, 6 points, and they keep playing like they do with Goedert and Saquon still leading those 2 touchdown drives, we're talking about a different game here, in my opinion. So, obviously hindsight is 20/20, but I felt like in those situations it could have been handled a little bit better. And now the Eagles go to 2-1, and so do the Saints. And just some takeaways now. I don't want to put it all on the Saints like they just lost this. The Eagles also did some great stuff. Their defense played very well. Again, Zach Bond is another guy that keeps putting on great displays. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis finally showed up and made an impact in this game up the middle of that defensive line. Jordan Davis got a sack. Jalen Carter was all over the place, involved in everything. And the Saints did suffer some injuries to their center and their guard, Cesar Ruiz and Eric McCoy, which is huge. But even still, it doesn't take away from the fact that the Eagles defense played a great game. And still off of that, getting back to the point I made before about Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to over criticize Jalen yet, because they're winning games. They're 2-1, so everyone's got things to fix, and obviously Jalen's turnovers and Jalen's decision making could be one of them. But you're missing A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith was knocked out of the game, and we're still early on. I'd like to give him a pass here still. It's not like they're 0-3 or 1-2 and he's just costing them the games. he's fortunate that they're talented enough, but it's definitely something that they have to fix. And to me, it should be a case where Jalen should not be throwing the ball like 15 times or 20 times before Saquon gets like 10 or 8 carries, right? It should be the other way around. I would like Saquon to start the games off more, getting the ball like 10, 8 times in the first couple of drives to establish everything, kind of get a feel for what the defense is doing, and that way set up the passing game rather than the other way around, because you run more of a risk of Jalen potentially throwing some turnovers like he did against the Packers or in this one as well. I think going the other way with Saquon getting the ball nice and early, establishing himself, then you get other guys the ball. That way I think Jalen kind of knows what's going on. It's a lot easier for him, and you downplay the risk, right, in this situation, but still, it's something that they're going to have to work on going forward. Unfortunately for them, Lane Johnson and Darius Slay, I think, went down, both of them with concussions, if I'm not mistaken. So that is something, obviously, two of their best players that they have to keep track of, and hopefully they're not out for too long. And also just the Saints takeaways here to just wrap it up quickly. I talked about the missed opportunities, and also the offense was going to come down at some point, but I would have liked to have seen a bit more fight from them or just some more production. And I think one thing that they do have to sort of address or kind of have a way to counter it is when pressure is applied on Derek Carr, it seems like it is a soft spot because the running game wasn't phenomenal for the first time, and Philadelphia kept sending a lot of people to stop the run, but also a lot of people to get in Derek Carr's face, and it seemed to have flustered him a little bit. The picture didn't seem as clear for him. The play action wasn't really there because they struggled with the running game. So that's one thing that they also have to work on and try and get better off of. But the connection with Olave seemed pretty well. Rashid Shaheed wasn't really a factor in this game, which was one of my fears going into this contest with the Eagles' solid secondary with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Quinyon Mitchell, Darius Slay. They took away one of them, but again, still, they were still in this game. I'm still not giving up on the Saints or anything, but I think they would like this game back if they played a bit differently, made some different decisions. I'm sure they could have been walking away from this contest a lot happier if some of those went their way, but it is something they'll learn from. Obviously, funny enough, I feel like these two teams are going to see each other down the line, so hopefully that happens, maybe in Philadelphia this next time, and it could be pretty interesting still going forward. But with that being said, that'll wrap it up for that game, and we have one more game to go over before we preview the other Monday Night Football game here quickly. We're going to talk about the 49ers' epic loss to the Los Angeles Rams. More credit to the Rams for coming back from that, and what does this say about both the loss for the 49ers and also the win for the Rams? We'll address that in just a few seconds when we return.